Hey guys, good morning. What a blessing we have as we start a new year. We're going to be in 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Hopefully this will be a great start to the new year. We're going to be in verse 14. Paul is speaking to the Corinthians, and he had just kind of started dealing with one of the issues that have been going on within the church, where people are kind of going back and forth in terms of like what their heritage in the faith happens to be, and some were picking Paul and some were picking Peter and others were picking Apollos, and it was just kind of really silly. And so he says this in verse 14. He says, "I thank God that I baptized none of you except Crispus and Gaius, lest anyone should say that I had baptized in my own name. Yes, I also baptized the household of Stephanus. Besides, I do not know whether I baptized any other. For Christ did not send me to baptize, but to preach the gospel, not with wisdom of words, lest the cross of Christ should be made of no effect." I love this because here it is. Paul is not trying to lay claim to anybody's faith whatsoever. Even though there was a lot of bickering and fighting amongst who's from who, Paul was like, you know what really matters, guys? Isn't who baptized who, what church you happen to come from, or the heritage of your faith. What it actually is, and the only thing that matters, is the true preaching of the gospel, right? That was the thing that could genuinely transform him. He didn't come with some form of wisdom or as though he were to get some greater level of respect. No, he came simply, as he says, not with wisdom of words, lest the cross of Christ should be made of no effect. No, he came simply to preach the gospel, knowing that was the only way for salvation. That was the only hope for all these people. And he's reminding them of that. And so as we start this new year, I want you to take a second, right? Oftentimes when we look at a new year, we start to think of, well, what happened last year? What were some of the accomplishments? What are the things that I was able to do? And then you start to look forward and think of the things what should I do now? Well, we're in a new season. We're in a new year. We're in a new opportunity. And this is a great way to consider, what does this next year look like? You know, the only thing that's going to matter is going to be the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what's going to stand the test of time. How well is that getting into your family? How well is that getting into your home? How well is that getting into your kids? Is it transforming those that are around you? Is it transforming you? You know, I think if we were to take a little bit different perspective rather than just look at your standard sort of like New Year's resolutions, if we were to take a step and say, you know what might I be able to do that Jesus Christ has magnified? It's not about what I've done. It's not about what I could even do or could accomplish. It's only about what Christ had accomplished. That's the goal. That's the heart. That's why Paul came to the Corinthian church. That's why he came to anybody who needed to receive salvation. That's exactly why we should come. That's why we are sent. That is why we live. That's why we breathe. That's why we were saved, is so that just one more might be transformed by Jesus. How? Not because of anything we could do, but only because of what Jesus Christ could do. May that be our heart this year. May that be at the center of our hopes and dreams for this year, as that God might use us in a new and a powerful way, so that the gospel of Jesus Christ might go through our lives, through our words, and that people wouldn't see us, but rather they'd only see him. I love you guys. God bless you all, and I pray you have a wonderful new year.